There's one thing about us in Cork, we have a beautiful accent, and it's all our own by.
Many bits.
Look at those two letters over there on the microphone.
I can't finish a fucking sentence.
Welcome to this podcast, recorded in Cork by two Cork men from Cork, talking about being in Cork. They're in Cork now, two Cork men talking about Cork. Welcome to a Cork podcast about Cork and whatever else.
I'm allergic. Langer.
The shame of it.
You look me dead after your basil. Will you have some red?
How's your old one?
Minky.
That's pure cock.
But you really don't talk like that at all.
Hello, Will.
Hello, Kevin.
How are you?
I'm unnerved.
This is a spec bits, isn't it? We're outside,
Oh, it's
walking in. Well, we're sitting at the moment, but we're in Cork.
we're together,
We are,
face to face.
and we have people behind us.
There's someone looking for Katrina. And there's people coming along this way. What's
yeah,
up?
we're both in Cork. Will had his court case today, and I was his character witness.
Yeah, listen, I'm delighted. The sentence was pretty. Yeah, she needs to get down. Kevin, get down. Get down, Kevin.
That's what the judge said.
Yeah.
And then we had our pictures taken
Yes, that's right.
outside the courthouse
Why the fuck
by the
did
examiner.
Why did? Oh yeah. So why did we get our pictures taken?
Fuck knows. I think because we stuck our neck out.
Okay. And does it mean you said like the article is coming out relatively soon?
She said that. She said, so we got our pictures taken for the Examiner interview that we did with Esther McCarthy.
Right.
And apparently it's going to be in, is it the Weekend Supplement?
It'd be too soon for the weekends because today is.
No, but is that what it's called?
Oh, it's the weekend supplement. Yeah.
They took the pictures and then they did the terrible thing of like showing me what the pictures look like. And then you have to go like, that's grand.
God.
That looks great. Meanwhile, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
could you not like angle it about 6 feet higher there to stop getting the double chin? And,
Oh no, worst angle ever.
yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I look like my dad.
Listen,
My dad, of course, is 75. But I was like, oh my God, this is really going to bring in the women. It's going to boost our female.
Ronnie says, "Oh my God, I got to check those guys out. There's something appealing about there. They
Yeah,
don't look,
they look
threatening."
desperate. Help out the community.
What I thought was gas was she started to get us to do comedy poses, and
My mate Lisa McInerney said to me, never do what the photographer tells you to do,
Right.
because they're just trying to make you into a clown.
I think maybe she was endeavouring to do that.
No, she was actually lovely though.
She was great.
Really lovely.
Yeah, she was great.
But it's not hard for me to look like a clown.
That's the problem.
But she was doing things where it was like, now look into each other's eyes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to keep a straight face. I'm not even going to be able to keep eye contact.
Yeah,
Because I'm like an urban fox. If you look at me, I'm already running away.
you sneak into people's houses and pillage their kitchen cabinets.
And I scream in the middle of the night. No, but yeah, you came all the way down from Kilkenny.
Yeah,
so
you
you were
came-
flaking it down, breaking the speed limit.
I was late. I should have left. I was convinced that I was like, oh, no, I'll go before lunch. And
What did you have for lunch?
I had only a starter, so I had like
What
a
was
chicken
that?
satay. It was like two
A club
chickens.
burger.
It was 2 chips and half a quiche.
I just
I washed it down with some soup, some stew.
give us a couple of vol-au-vents there to put in the car.
I was like, and Paul was saying to me, I said, I've got to be in Cork for 4 o'clock. And he says, and I said, but Satnav says
And
it
then he
takes
said,
2 hours.
for who? And you said, I'm getting my pictures taken with Kevin. Like, every grand, fuck it.
But he said to me, I said, Satnav says it takes 2 hours. And he says, you'll do it in 1 hour and 10.
Did you do it in an hour and 10?
I did it in I think 1 hour and 20.
See, because when you said to me, I'm just in the car now, and I looked at the sat-nav of the Google Maps, and it
Yeah.
said 2 hours and 40 minutes.
No.
I thought, oh my God, you're better off just like better off like rescheduling till tomorrow or something.
Yeah, no,
You're never
no.
going to make it.
No, I knew I was going. I was, and I would have made it for 4 if I didn't actually hit the roadworks that they stopped. Anyway, let's not get into. There's nothing worse than talking about like the reason you're not here, because it makes
Well, let's
me feel
talk about
bad
the
about
weather.
myself. It's fucking.
The weather was gorgeous.
Can I tell you about my dreams?
It is actually lovely though. It's fucking gorgeous.
Kevin,
Well,
what have you been watching?
I've been watching a few things. I watched Brats.
I
That-
wanted to see this. I saw the trailer just a couple of weeks ago, and it looked really. It was right up my fucking alley.
It's good, but it's a bit overwrought.
Okay.
So it's Andrew McCarthy, who was one of the big stars of the Brat Pack.
Yeah.
He did St. Elmo's Fire, and he did a few films with like John Hughes, and he did Pretty in Pink with him, and he did a few films with Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Anyway, a journalist for the Rolling Stone referred to a contingent of the actors because in 1985 it sort of hit its apotheosis with all of these teen-centric films coming out.
Right.
Risky Business and Ferris Bueller and Dirty Dancing and all these sort of like teen-focused films were being made by John Hughes and others, the studios and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was the first time where teenagers were like the focus of Hollywood's attention.
Yeah.
And he coined the term Brat Pack.
Oh, okay. Because
And
there
then-
was before that there was the Rat Pack.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
And when he coined that term, he got very proud of himself.
Yeah.
And so he decided to lean into it after having a very pleasant interview with Emilio Estevez, who wanted to
Okay.
be taken as a very serious actor. His dad was Martin Sheen, obviously. I know he was striking out on his own, and he wanted to be a serious performer.
Was Charlie Sheen ever considered a member of the Brat Pack?
No.
Interesting.
Because remember when Ferris Bueller, he was the older druggie in the police station.
Okay. Right.
So he would have been slightly different generation.
Okay.
You had to be about 23 maximum to be in the Brat Pack.
Okay.
So anyone that was like 24, 25, they managed to get around it. Like the Outsiders, that group wasn't called the Brat Pack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that was all like Patrick Swayze, Ralph
wasn't-
Macchio.
Yeah.
They weren't Brat Pack. Yeah.
They're included in the documentary, but they're not considered like canon core Brat
Yeah.
Pack members. The Brat Pack was Demi Moore,
Yeah.
it was Emilio Estevez, Andrew McCarthy, Rob Lowe,
Yeah.
and what's her name from
Oh.
Short
Molly
Circuit?
Molly Ringwald.
No, she wasn't one of them. It was
What?
No, the actress from Short Circuit and from
Fuck it. I know her. I can see her. Ali Sheedy.
Ali Sheedy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the actual Brat. That was just
Oh,
them.
and what's his face? Judd Nelson.
Oh wow.
So they were the Brat Pack. Emilio Estevez and the gang, because the article was sort of skewed towards calling them entitled, indulgent brats, essentially,
Yeah.
they didn't like it. And what happened was the Brat Pack then split up.
Okay.
So they never worked with each other again after that.
Oh, 'cause that's
they
what I
all
was just
made
thinking.
a deliberate career choice to
Yeah.
not work with each other again.
Yeah.
And Emilio Estevez even went so far as to back out of a film because Andrew McCarthy was going to be in it.
Jeez. Because that's what I was just thinking.
It
I
created
can't
this
identify. Like, was there a specific film?
St. Elmo's Fire.
That was the film. So
Yeah.
that was the cast of that film. And that.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay.
And for whatever reason, I mean, it's fascinating. Andrew McCarthy goes back and he wants to pick apart why they were called the Brat Pack and how it affected their friendships, their creative partnerships, and how the industry viewed them. And that's an interesting sort of place to take it. But then he keeps sort of regurgitating what feels a little bit like it's not that big of a deal. Like it wasn't as... Like I personally didn't think that them being called the Brat Pack was a negative thing.
Yeah.
But the majority of them all took it as a very demeaning and insulting term because they couldn't escape it. They were just constantly called the Brat Pack, the Brat Pack, the Brat Pack.
Yeah.
And they wanted to be more than, I don't know, viewed as what would be in today's sphere, like Nickelodeon teen stars or something.
Yeah. There was a label put upon them, and I actually understand that. Is that if you have a label put on you, you want to do everything in your power to.
But it was a bit like
break
me
out of that, yeah.
wanting to do a documentary about that review in Total Film, which said they'd rather have a hangover than watch Grabbers 2.
What?
And me like wanting to meet that journalist, although I actually didn't meet him. And
Is that what he actually said?
he did, yeah.
How many stars did he give it?
He gave it 2 stars, I think.
Fucking it.
But the funny thing
Jesus.
was, Total Film had also reviewed it earlier, so they gave it 4 stars, and so
Right.
Total Film were on the poster.
Right.
And then if you Google Total Film review of Grabbers, it came up with his review, and
Jesus.
it just felt very sort of snotty. But I met that guy.
Yeah. And did you bring it up?
I didn't bring it up because I thought, look, he's entitled to his opinion. He's also
Of course,
a very
yeah.
nice person.
Yeah.
He didn't like the film. It happens. I've been wrong on so many films
Yeah.
in the past and changed my mind.
Yeah.
Also, like, that's
So
par
you're
for the
saying
course.
he probably has changed. You've just created a narrative where he's probably realised he was wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
He's probably realised that he's
I heard a really nice thing, actually, that I'm trying to hold on to, and that is to go through life thinking everybody likes you
okay.
until they give you a reason not to think that.
Okay.
And then if they don't like you, just leave them alone. They don't like you, move on with your life.
Okay.
But go through life thinking that people like you, and talk to them and embrace situations
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like you walk into a room and you think, nobody here dislikes me, everybody likes me.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. But you know.
I heard the opposite theory.
Oh yeah.
Well, you
Walk in
think-
where everyone thinks you
No,
suck.
where people you can't assume that people know the whole of you because their interactions with you are very limited and very specific to those specific moments. Like it's called the pizza monster theory.
Is
like,
this the same thing where they say there's a version of you that exists in everybody else's
yeah,
mind
yeah, that's it.
that isn't you at all?
Yes.
But it's their version of you, and it could be like, oh yeah, Pizza Monster.
It's a pizza
the person
monster.
where you took the pizza.
That guy
and
took
so-
it. He was like, you went in and there was
And
a,
you will only ever be the pizza monster to that person.
You didn't take a slice of pizza, but one person thought you took a slice of pizza, and then eventually you
They
came
thought you
around.
took the last slice of
and you
pizza.
kind of took it was your only slice of pizza, and they go, that person's a pizza monster, and forever you are in their head pizza monster. So
Yeah.
you just have to assume that for some people out there, you're just a pizza monster, and that's because they don't have the complete. Or everyone has got a different version of you. So it's assuming the opposite of what you are saying, assuming that everyone likes you, and it's as equally valid to say assume everyone's got the wrong impression of you. It's just like I'm right, but like not.
But I also think that we all have the wrong impression of ourselves.
well, that's true too. Yeah, that's probably true. We need a mirror held up to us.
Anyway, the Brat Pack film, Brats,
Right, how do we get onto this?
Andrew McCarthy, it felt a little bit like Andrew. This feels a little bit too much like therapy.
Yeah.
Demi Moore came off brilliantly in it,
Oh, good. Okay.
where she told him that it's your impression of that
Yeah.
that created this obstacle for you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter to you. It shouldn't matter to you. It doesn't. It's like how you view that. She basically psychoanalyzed him in a really sort of pleasant way.
Okay.
And it felt like, God, if he'd heard that like 30 years ago, it may have changed
Yeah.
his life. But then Emilio Estevez looked so uncomfortable
Really?
to be talking to Andrew McCarthy, and it just looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but there.
Wow.
And Andrew McCarthy's like, I had this impression of you where we didn't get on, and he's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't. Oh shit.
But now we've got this thing together. It's a connection.
Oh
He's like,
God.
yeah, it's like it's its thing.
Yeah.
And you could just tell he just wanted to crawl under a rock, and I thought, my God. But yeah, it's fascinating. I enjoyed it, but it's a little like it's a little like therapy for
Okay.
Andrew McCarthy.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I want to
he
see
seems
it.
very sweet, but you want to feel like, dude, get over it. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
It didn't ruin your life. Come on.
I want to see that. I want to see it. There was something you've watched and I've seen about a half of, I think, but I actually have some insight to.
Let me just check this
Yeah,
and I'll
double
put it
check.
back. Yeah, 14 minutes.
Excellent. You've watched. I think you've watched all of season 1 of Scavengers Reign, haven't you?
Yep.
That's on Netflix. I've seen half of it.
Okay.
I was at the studio that made Scavengers Reign, so I have a little bit of insight on that front.
In Paris, is it?
In Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's the way that I described it, and I'm going to repeat myself now. This is what happens with me, where I will test out what I'm going to say on the podcast on my Letterboxd.
Okay.
And then I'll repeat it. Although I didn't actually review this on Letterboxd.
But I haven't heard this. I see. I'm.
You have, because I said it to you and Jamie in a
No,
chat.
you just have to assume that my brain gets wiped.
Well-
which it does.
I'm well aware of that.
Yeah.
I said it feels like dreaming in another language.
Oh yeah, I like that. Continue.
That's it.
I want to add I want to add my experience to it, right? So, for those of you who haven't watched it yet, it's a 2D animated show. I would call it nearly hard sci-fi, and it's
It reminded me of Brian K. Vaughan's Saga, if you ever read that comic book. It's like fantasy meets sci-fi, but it's people lost on an alien world.
yeah, they're stranded. They're like the crew of a spaceship have landed in different parts, but like we've got different parties and they're all surviving, and we don't even know. We're not meeting them as they've crashed, but it's kind of like a few months after they've they've survived. They've learned how to.
They've integrated quite successfully.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like all of a sudden they can go down to a stream and fill a canteen and go, I'm just collecting from some fresh water. Like,
How do you even know?
lucky? Yeah,
I was like screaming
what?
at Prometheus, keep your helmet on, you fucking dipshit.
Exactly.
And they're like using these fungi as like helicopters.
Yeah,
But it's magical.
It's a very psychedelic world they've landed in.
Totally, yeah.
And I want to tell you something about the
I
studio.
feel like tripping out. It also gives me like Miyazaki vibes. You could feel like it came from that part of the world.
Yeah, but listen to that! Isn't that lovely? Oh my goodness!
The Angeles.
Is it?
Can I tell you something that every time I come back to Cork,
Yeah.
the thing that reminds me of how different Ireland is to the UK is the Angelus. It's like the call to prayer. If you
Yeah.
go to Cyprus and stuff, and it's like,
so is. It's always, and we all stop. And I love there was a parody
So
sketch
let's
on.
know.
Oh yeah, we're all going to. There was for those who aren't in Ireland. Bless us, O Lord, as we sit
No, what is the
together.
Angelus? I can't even remember the Angelus. We used to have to do it in school. No, I couldn't.
Bless us, O Lord, as we sit together. Bless the hands that made the food.
Oh,
Bless
fuck
the
yeah.
the Lord. Bless us, O Lord. Amen. That was the prayer before meals or whatever it was. But two things. Oh yeah,
It ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it.
I have a couple of things. I have to park all these ideas, right? Okay.
We went to the studio and they're all.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll
off their
follow through
tits
that.
there.
Well, I went to the studio and it's called Titmouse is the name of the studio.
Oh, I've been
right?
there.
Have you really?
Yes, I've been to all those places as well.
Titmouse.
I've been to Titmouse and Illumination and...
Yeah. Titmouse is a very, very...
Huge studios. You see the difference between you go into an animation studio versus a film production company. A film production company that's made like big fucking hits and it's like a pokey little office above a shop.
And an animation studio. They've got a massive building out
It's
in
like an
Los
Apple
Angeles.
store.
Myself and Nora Toomey from Cartoon Saloon, we got a tour up by one of the owners of the studio of the whole facility. Mm-hmm. And they were making Star Trek Lower Decks. So when we came to the Star Trek Lower Decks...
It does actually, the animation kind of has a vibe of that.
Yeah, it was. There was like life-size cutouts of all the TNG crew and stuff like that around the place. And then, but...
He's recording the podcast.
He's recording a podcast.
That's what I look like when I'm doing the spec bits.
That's me too. Like, but as soon as you go into
5 pages.
as soon as you go into the studio, they've got a van sliced in half, like vertically down the centre. Have I told you about the van sliced in half?
No, I'm just trying to remember it.
Okay, so when you go in into the lobby, there's like, if you imagine Scooby-Doo's The Mystery Machine van.
Yeah, isn't it like on several floors and it's open plan and it feels like it feels like they could all be working in offices on beanbags.
Oh
It's that
yeah,
kind of a vibe.
yeah, it's that kind of vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this van is being cut in half from top to tail, and one half is against one wall, and it's all in psychedelic colours with a orange kind of tinted window, and the other half is on an opposite wall. And I remember going up to the one half of the van and looking in the driver's door, but you couldn't see, it was a reflective surface. And I laughingly kind of looked over at Nora and says, "Come here, will we hop it and give it an old spin?" And as I said that, someone rapped on the window on the other side and the door opened. And I was, what the fuck? And I was
It was
jumped
an
back.
office?
It was the entrance to a little tiki room, right? So they one of the
that's like
co-owners.
in Pixar where I didn't see any of that.
Okay, maybe they've added this, right? So anyway, she said, "Come on in." So she came in, and they had the wall was decorated. There was the famous carpet pattern from The Shining, that kind of
With the bodies of their
hexagonal-
previous riders.
the
The
hexagonal.
skulls all up on the wall. This guy did 17 drafts for us.
So they had shots. They had a shot bar with and it was very 70s style design in this one little area. Before we went and did the tour, right? And they gave me whiskey, I don't drink.
Wait, no, so there was a person, they had a bar in there.
Yeah, you open up the door and it was a secret entrance to their mini bar, right? And it was an actual bar. We went in and they had it was a little 70s decorated
that
room.
feels like health and safety might have a word with you about that.
Yeah, and then you go around the whole building. So we went around the whole building, and the entire offices, the corridors are all decorated with poster art. Do you know these in Africa? There's a thing going around the line where they have the posters for this African.
The 6 guys holding the coffin.
No. They do really bad posters for like Predator and Star Trek and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And but what they've gone and done is they've commissioned the guys who made those posters to make more posters for their favourite movies and stuff like that. So they've got like posters for all the Star Treks and all these.
Class.
Yeah. So there's no genuine posters. It's all like this, like, you know.
I never saw any of that. They ushered me straight through and out the back to where the dumpsters were, and then they said, your Uber is waiting for you there.
But we're talking about Scavengers Reign. But one of the common themes throughout the entire building are mushrooms and psychedelics.
Yes.
So within the creative structure of that company, there's a kind of a, hey man, like, you know, and I told you that one door to one of this minivan led you into a tiki room. Well, on the opposite side of the lobby, there was the other half
dungeon.
of the door. Well, you're not far off. When you go through that door, you go into a D&D room. Dungeons and Dragons room.
Oh, I thought it was a dominatrix.
No, it was a dungeon. Dungeons and Dragons. And again, that wallpaper is done in psychedelic wallpaper. And when they turn on a certain light, the wallpaper goes like pure, you know.
UV. So
UV light, and it's really psychedelic and trippy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's not ultraviolet.
Black light. It's neon.
Yeah, ultraviolet light. Illuminated in ultraviolet light. So when I'm watching Scavengers Reign, some of the stuff that's going on feels...
It tracks.
It's totally psychedelic. Totally, you can feel that they're having these fucking experiences and kind of going, there's a little bit of mushrooms going on.
It feels incredibly well thought out. Like, the design of the world
I love it,
feels like it's not our version of... Well, it is kind of that stuff, but it's like everything feels in keeping and also like... amazing, like the stuff that they come up with, these organisms that you can get the sense that they are alien, but they don't feel like they just pull it out of their ass. It all feels like of a world. As I say, it reminds me of Saga. It's just very relaxing as well.
It is.
You just get lulled into this sense of... And then there's people getting fucking torn apart and, like, dissolved and eaten by the planet.
Do you know what? One thing I love with each episode are the opening credits. And the music. And the opening credits is just...
sort of like telling you about how the ship got there. And
the ship kind of, like, burning through the atmosphere. But it's got a very relaxing soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I really love the fucking soundtrack to it. So it's...
As I say, for me, it's like dreaming in another language.
Yeah, there's this dream quality to it, and I think that's its strength. I know it's been cancelled by
It's cancelled.
Well, HBO. It was originally HBO cancelled it,
and they put it on Netflix. So it was
Netflix
like
bought it.
Everybody watch it on Netflix because they'll probably commission season 2.
So that's the hope. Yeah. So I think there's a fairly good shot that Netflix, because they bought season 1, it's happened, but it would be a good shot if they actually do continue it, because I'd like to see more. I like it. I think it's very, very good.
I loved it. It was one that I can't remember who recommended it to me, but I was like, oh, this is one where I have to tell other people to watch it.
Yeah. I think
What's going on behind me?
Oh, there's music coming.
Yeah, we're in Fitzgerald's Park at the moment, and it's beautiful, but you're getting all of the local wildlife.
It certainly is. I'll put it to you this way. If you were in Donegal, you wouldn't be hearing that music. You'd be hearing Declan Nerney.
I've been driving around here with my hire car and listening to the radio, Red FM.
Yeah.
And the music is fucking...
great.
Yes. It's great.
Yeah.
Also the telly, like when I put on the telly and I'm like, TV3's breakfast show feels like it's from a different era entirely.
Did you feel like
transported back to 2002?
Oh no!
Yeah.
You feel it's antiquated.
Very antiquated. Like it hasn't moved on. Everything's trapped in amber.
Oh shit! I actually was like, because I see that one, I'm going, oh, I think they moved on from the early awful days of that show. I think it's gotten better.
Yeah, I mean it's polished and slick, but it's like...
Wait till they have us on as guests to promote it back. So yes. What did you say about us on the thing?
I watched a guy today make some sort of like concoction for lunch, and he said, "So I hope he'll try that recipe now during the week." And I was thinking to myself, I bet nobody has ever looked at a recipe on telly and thought, I'll do that.
Right.
How do you remember it? Do you sit there, do you record it, and then think?
My mum used to do that. She would
Doreen
tape
Allen.
it. Oh, geez. Can I tell you my? I don't know if I'd be treading on toes if I told the story.
Remember, now we're releasing this episode free.
Shit, I can't say the story. You brought up Doreen Allen. I can't say the story. Okay, subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah,
on the next
subscribe.
mini-mix. I'll tell you my Doreen Allen story.
Does it involve her son?
No.
Isn't
The
he
woman
like a
herself.
mixed martial artist who's done
Listen.
He's been up
The
in court
litigation.
several times.
Oh, allegedly. I
No,
don't-
it's been in the paper.
No, allegedly. like myself, allegedly, I was in court.
And I'd say it to his face as well.
Hey, we were listening to the bells there, and we're in the park. And last week, I was listening to
This is Will's
bells.
first time in Fitzgerald's Park, if
Yeah.
you can believe it.
I was never here before.
You're not
ever.
actually Cork at all.
No, I'm a country boy. Country boy. I was in London town last week with my crew.
Tell us everything.
I'll tell you
I'm
the
looking
highlights.
forward to visiting the place.
You should go. Well, I want to say, first of all, right, we stayed in a great area, which was a wonderful hack for anyone who wants to go to London but not
It
pay
wasn't
London.
Hackney, was it?
It was Apsley,
Absolutely.
which
Was
is
that
out
where the
by
canals
Watford.
are?
Yes, we were right because it was beautiful. We were right beside a canal. It was
Did you
gorgeous.
stay at a canal boat?
No, we stayed in a hotel right beside it, and there was loads of canal boats right beside
But they
us.
do have canal hotels,
Do they?
yeah, well, Airbnbs.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like that. But because there was a lot of... Anyway, it was a lovely aesthetic. It was a lovely vibe.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Do you want to know
got
I had an
shit
observation?
weather, though.
It was only rainy a little bit. No, it was actually... I was
But
not
the
too
weather
bad.
was better than it is right now. Right up
It
until
suited us,
the-
It suited us having the wee kids, and we spent the whole day in Legoland, which was fucking incredible. Have you been to Legoland?
No.
Dude.
I think I'd get escorted out if I went to Legoland.
No, honest to God. Go to Legoland, right, and grab some random child's hand and says, "Come with me, child," and go with them. Legoland was actually.
I have
fucking class.
a memory of being a kid and walking up and grabbing a stranger's hand, thinking it's my mum's,
Right.
and looking up and going like, "Ugh,"
Oh shit!
and it just it stuck with me. So I can imagine the trauma of that. So I might do it.
Legoland was amazing. It wasn't too hot, so it was overcast, so it was perfect for us. And it showered only a little bit, and we were able to get shelter. It was an amazing spot.
I feel like that guy is coming closer to us with the music.
Oh well, look, if we can, at least we can get up and hop to the beats. Then on the second day,
So you went to Legoland, and how much money did you spend?
oh listen, I'm actually terrified to look. I haven't looked at my bank account since, but all I know is
It was
every
worth it.
fucking meal. No, everything across London it was all very expensive. London was expensive.
London is very fucking expensive.
Fucking
Like
hell.
you've heard me complain about it. It's not just because I'm fucking
It's atrocious.
watching my wallet, but
No.
it is very dear.
I thought we were getting really expensive, and oh my god, meals it was breaking my heart. We went into but anyway, so we had the following day as well, and we.
It's a very middle-aged chat we're having.
But I want to tell you about the next day. Okay.
Yeah.
My gang hadn't been into London, and we said, and they were kind of going, they all wanted to go to London, like to actually see the hits. And I was going, fuck, because we'd booked in to go to the Harry Potter tour, the Warner Brothers studio tour, that evening at 6:00. By the way, if you ever want to book the Harry Potter tour, you have to book months and months in advance because
Really?
it
Still?
sells out. Oh yeah, because we had all the time. Because it had sold
But
out.
are these people not reading J.K. Rowling's tweets?
No, obviously not. Obviously not. They've disassociated themselves from from what she's her online.
That's good. I'm going to go and do the For the TED tour. So
Yeah, listen to an interview with Arsenal actually recently. But so the night before, I was going, how the fuck are we going to coordinate this trip into London, then get back in time and go and get to the Harry Potter thing in time and not be...
how did you get
completely
around
killed?
London? Did you just use the tube?
We just used the tube. But
Yeah,
you want
it's
to know,
great.
the night before, I asked ChatGPT. I
Yeah.
said, look, we're staying here. These are the places we want to see, and we've got a booking for Harry Potter. I said, can you give me kind of... we want to hit this... We want to see maybe Buckingham Palace and stuff like that. And within a second,
Yep.
it produced an itinerary
Did I
for me.
not say to you, and I said to Jamie when I was down the coast, I was using ChatGPT as like my personal advisor on how to get around and what to do and what
Yeah.
to see. I would ask it like, where do I get the bus from such and such to go to whatever coastline?
Yeah.
And it would tell me, and it would, walk up here and whatever. And I was passed on to you, and you said something like, I asked it the other day to tell me something, and it gave you like Oh, you asked it for the cinema times, and
That's
it gave you
right.
the cinema from 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, no, it was like 4 months ago, so it didn't give me the up to
And I
date.
said, well, fuck it, so...
No, but for
There you
things
go,
like
see? Vindicated again.
I've no memory of that conversation or you saying that, so I feel I found it on my own.
I really need to start exploiting that. I need to start telling you. Do you remember the other day you said to me, I'll give you that 200 quid,
Yes. Did
and just, for being a mensch. And I said,
Right.
well, I won't say no.
Okay. Well,
Do you remember that conversation?
Now was this shit? Actually, where is my wallet? As a matter of fact,
I have it here.
I actually don't know where my wallet is. I think it's in here. Oh, it's in here. Jesus, actually, isn't this my wallet?
You went to Harry Potter World.
Oh,
you
shit.
used ChatGPT.
It was. So I'm just saying, ChatGPT. Oh, but when we went to Buckingham Palace, right? So ChatGPT.
So you went to stand outside Buckingham Palace. Get
Yeah.
pictures.
Oh, no, we went in for tea.
Oh, right.
It was kind of Camilla. She had
No, but
fucking
did you
scones
go
going
to
But you know what we saw?
the tower?
I'll tell you.
Changing the guards and stuff at the tower.
Oh, let me tell you what.
Go on.
We landed at Buckingham Palace. There was a big crowd gathered outside as usual, and we were kind of walking around, and Karen was listening to people saying, "What's happening? What's happening?" And he was like, "It's the changing of guard."
The Dutch.
It was
Fucking hell, they're so loud.
Yes, another one saying, "It was like, it's not the changing of the guard, honey. It's I don't know. It's." Anyway, then the fucking cavalcade came.
Oh, honey,
Meow,
look,
meow,
they've got a
meow.
Starbucks here too.
I love his hat. But anyway, the King's cavalcade came thundering by. And
King
with-
Charles.
With Charles in the back, waving his hand. And we weren't there 2 minutes. And Charles came by.
How far away was he from you?
Oh, from, I'd say, 10 feet, 15 feet, 15 feet. Like, we were literally, like,
You
he
could
was
smell
looking,
him.
like, well, no, the window's up.
Right, he could smell you then.
He could smell me. Definitely when I was pushing that day. So we saw Charles, and from there we walked in. We heard Big Ben chime.
Did he smile? Did he wave?
Oh,
Did
he was
acknowledge
waving.
you? Did he?
Yeah. He waved like he was. I'm pretty sure
He
just
seems
does it
to me
anyway.
like a friendly fella.
Yeah, amazing fingers. Like it was.
I was starving afterwards, so I went to Wetherspoons for sausages and mash.
Yeah. Oh God. But
That's amazing. I've never seen any royals in all the years that I've been knocking about
no
London.
way.
Yeah, and I'm standing outside there every other day, like
You're on a list.
holding onto the gate.
You're on a list. Chaining yourself.
Yep.
With Charles coming out to play. Charles coming out to play.
We want our 6 counties back.
Come on, Charles. We went to the Harry Potter experience, right? Because that was a hit list for both the kids. They really wanted to see it. And we knew the only tickets we could get were at 6 p.m. And we fucking knew.
You went at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
to
it's
Harry
the
Potter.
it was the only time available.
And what is
to
this
us.
tour? Like you just go around looking at
I don't want
the books?
No, you sit down
It's
and
a
everyone
library.
starts reading it. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it for
Oh, look,
anyone.
that's Prisoner of Azkaban.
I
My
genuinely
God, it's very thick looking, isn't it?
I genuinely don't want to. I will say there was a couple of things. It really was amazing, right? It really is. If you have a kid, or if you yourself are a Harry Potter fan and enjoy the books or enjoy the movies, or have a member of your family who loves them, it's a must. You have to go there because it is so special, and they've curated it in such a way that it is an experience, right?
Yeah.
So there's aspect where you can enjoy the behind the scenes, the movie magic of it. Like
right.
a lot of those movies were made pre. Obviously CG.
They built
but
sets.
They built sets, so there's a lot of practical effects like that you can actually see in operation, and you show this is how we did this and that and whatnot. And but it was truly amazing. The only thing, however, was there were an awful lot of obnoxious cunts there. Oh my God, atrociously.
From where?
There was from all over the world. But Karen and Luke, right? Luke and Ellie, there's this one area where you can get photos taken of you flying on a broomstick with like a green screen, and it's like
Catching one of those quidget things.
yeah, so whatever, but you're sitting on one of the brooms, and it's green screen behind you, and you go up, and it gives you, you can get one as a memento or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And the kids were like going, oh yeah, I want to do it. So they were like, I want to do it, and so you have to join this big long queue. And anyway, they were gone forever, and I was trying to keep. Chloe was losing her shit, and it was not a place.
Literally.
Oh, she was just creator. It was her bedtime. We knew it wasn't the right time, but Karen was telling
Was
me.
it
after,
loud in there? Could she
Oh
nod
yeah,
off?
no, it was really, would have been loud because they're different. But it was really informative, really interesting. But Karen was saying when she was queuing up to collect her photographs, right? She said there was a couple in front of her, and both of them were completely dressed in costume. She said the girlfriend was dressed as a type of witchy costume, and she had a wig on and stuff like. It looked like
So just
immaculate.
locals then?
Locals, yeah. But she said they were nightmare customers because when they started showing them the photographs, they were both going,
Do you want to
no.
do retouching on
Yeah,
that?
oh yeah, they went, no. They were like going, that's not good, that's not good. And they actually had to go and get them redone. So they held up everyone. And like the husband and boyfriend was like, you know, like she was like arranging her costume and a sort of like really particular, annoying dickheads.
Yeah,
like,
that's...
They held up everyone. I'd say she was held up 15 minutes. She was held up 15 minutes as...
Three old fellas just went by on a bike there listening to music.
Old fella's watching YouTube. He's actually not watching YouTube. I saw it.
On his phone?
On his phone. YouTube was on his
music.
phone. That's what the music was. It was YouTube.
That's why I haven't finished Shogun, like, because it's hard.
You're
It's
trying to watch it on your bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, look, it was an amazing experience. It was too late for us.
You've not stopped. You've been flying here, flying
haven't
there,
stopped.
up there.
Yeah.
And you've just come back from Kilkenny where you had a big work retreat.
We had a big work retreat. It was a hectic time. It's always amazing to go to Kilkenny.
So have you seen anything else besides, like, them? Did you see Hitman?
I've seen half of Hitman because I've been only
To
getting
be honest with you, you've
snippets
seen
of
the
it.
worst half of it.
Oh shit! Right.
Yeah. Did you like that?
It's okay. Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it at all. I thought it was really laboured and drawn out, and I feel like that fella Glenn Powell, he was miscast in that.
Okay.
He might be a movie star, and he looks like he fits into the world of Twister.
Right.
But if you cast Jesse Plemons in that role,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
then you have somebody who's in the Walter Mitty aspect of trying to masquerade as other people. But when you have Glenn Powell, who's conventionally handsome and buff, trying to act nerdy or awkward or
Right.
you know, all these different types of characters, it feels like it's ass backwards.
I've seen it as far as where he meets up with the lady who's like saying my husband's beating me or whatever it is. So that's just, I don't know how far into the film that is.
Is that the Mexican woman?
Mexican lady, yeah.
She's quite good. They have a torrid relationship and stuff. And
Okay.
it goes on from there. I won't spoil it for you because I'm sure you're going to finish it.
Oh no, I will. Yeah, no, I am watching. I
really thought it was so overhyped, and I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd, and I gave it 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
And I think it's like 2 3/4.
Oh, because I've seen it get like.
I thought it was so dull.
Letterboxd getting like 4 stars, 4.5 stars, like from people and.
Yeah, I think because it's Richard Linklater and people think that this is the one that everybody likes, so I better be in line with everyone else.
Oh, right.
And I watched it and thought, this is the same joke over and over again, and it's a joke that's not told very well, so it feels... I just couldn't get over the structure of it. I was like, are we still doing this? We're like 40 minutes in and we're still doing these montages of him capturing people and going to court and having them be prosecuted for hiring a hitman. It felt very TV to me. And then I had a lot of TV actors in it. I had that Gorilla from Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it, so it's not a recommend for me.
Oh dear! Like so far, look, I'm going to continue and finish it out because, like,
still love Richard Linklater.
I love Richard Linklater. Like, you know, there's like his odd little films I've really enjoyed. Like, for me, I was hoping this was going to be like Bernie, which I really enjoyed.
The Jack Black one
with
which is
Shirley
very
MacLaine.
unconventional.
That's excellent. If you haven't seen it,
but that was like what would you call it? Like a sad comedy, sadcom or something.
Yeah.
This kind of gets a bit more existential and thoughtful. The second half of it, but it's the first hour is so tedious that it doesn't make up for.
Okay.
Enjoying it. Like I stopped it and came back to it the next day to finish it.
Right.
And I thought it was just like it was its own thing, and its own thing wasn't for me.
Okay. I'm still going to. I'm going to see it out. I want to see it out. I was relatively enjoying that first section.
Getting a crick in my neck.
Yeah, turning this way, like this way. You could swap around if you wanted to. No, I was enjoying it enough. I wonder how this sounds to everyone. This.
I have no idea. Oh, I'll tell you. I hope it's okay. I hope I have to boost it.
It'll be fun.
I'll tell you a couple of other things.
Right.
South Park, the end of Obesity.
Oh, people were raving about this to me.
So the South Park guys have stopped making like episodes now, and they do these sort of 3-episode arcs, and
Right.
they release them as movies.
Yeah.
So they're like, they make up the season of South Park, but they're like feature films, standalone feature films.
Yeah.
And the recent one that I saw was the end of Obesity, where Cartman, the whole town is awash with Ozempic and Mounjaro, you know, those skinny drugs.
The skinny drug, yeah.
And Cartman can't afford to go on it.
Yeah.
So instead he's put on Lizzo. Lizzo is like positive affirmations for poor people.
Okay, great.
And then Kyle and the guys developed their own version of an Ozempic knockoff, and it takes over the town.
Yeah.
And it is hilarious. And it's like, what are they? They're 20 odd years into this.
Yeah.
And they are still rip-roaringly funny and just brazenly out there and saying whatever the fuck they want. But yeah, it's a very, very funny feature-length episode where the town gets hooked on Ozempic.
Wow.
And I thought it was class. So I wanted to mention that because
Can
I
I-
was not even aware that South Park were doing that. These feature film
I didn't know it either.
releases were brilliant.
I've got something to tie into it because last night I had a meal with someone who was there.
On Ozempic.
No, not on. Well, we were discussing it. Who worked with them for a number of years when making South Park?
Oh,
Talking
really?
about yeah. So it's someone who worked with them for years. In that, if you ever have any interest in seeing how crazy their process
They have a
was.
documentary. It's like a week. They make an episode.
The documentary is called 7 Days to Air.
Yeah.
Right? And it's absolutely true. So what they do and what they have...
Everything
do,
is in-house. They have a studio in-house. The
Yeah.
animators work in-house. They go from the writer's room to the animatics of boarding, whatever you call it.
they write it, they voice it, and while the script, as they're voicing the script is going to the animators, they don't
Mm-hmm.
even have time to fucking board it. So they're going to the animators or whatever. They're
It's also pre-built, an awful lot of that.
yeah. So that's the only thing. But she said she was telling us that she couldn't get over, like, these guys were getting paid. Everyone was getting paid a fixed salary throughout the year, you know. And she was like, but there's so much of the year they're actually not working, you know.
But they paid them throughout the whole
But
year.
they paid them
They're like
throughout the
school
whole
teachers.
year. Yeah, throughout the whole year. Which you see, but the thing about it is their process is that when the season was happening, they had 7 days to write, produce, and release.
They're basically
a new
rewarding them
episode.
for giving everything during
because
those
it
seasons.
was their entire lives. And so the only time where shit hit the fan, there was a couple of times where shit hit the fan.
Wasn't it at Mohammed?
No, with their not thinking they weren't actually going to make it. And one of the times was when Trump won the 2016 election.
Oh.
So when Trump won, they had written an episode
For Hillary.
and they had only started the previous week. They had it all ready to go. And it was going to be on air. So this is broadcast TV. So there's all these sorts of things that have to be
Is this part
lined
of
up.
the documentary, the 7 days thing? Or is this
No,
another
this is
story?
not. But this is
because I don't remember this.
No,
Yeah,
because I was told the story last night.
Yeah.
And she said the night before, maybe there was like a day or two, so it was maybe 48 hours or something like that. Trump wins, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to have to pull this." It was like one of the few times.
So they had how many days to do an episode then?
Oh, they had less than 2 days to fix the whole
shit.
episode. So they were like, "What?" Well, so they were kind of thinking, right, we're going to just kind of not air this. We're not going to go to TV this week, and everyone was saying, "Well, we can't." But the Matt and Trey retooled the episode
They
to
are
have
like
Hillary,
the word genius
Trump win.
gets- That's a crackle, isn't it? A crackle bird.
That's a blackbird.
That's not a blackbird, is it?
I don't know what it is.
I thought they're called. Maybe that's just in the UK. Crackles.
I think it might be a cat.
What kind of cats do you have? A bird just landed on my shoulder, and you can tell them whatever the fuck. They can't see it. No, a bird just ran past us because they think we've got food.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. The word genius gets thrown around way
Yeah.
too often. They are geniuses because to do that,
Yeah.
you have to be in sync with your creative juices.
Yeah.
And have such supreme confidence in yourself. It's not just the writing; it's the way that they can perform these things.
Yeah. So
Multi-talented.
watch that documentary 7 Days to Air. It's brilliant.
And because they're all in-house,
Yeah.
they own and run everything. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Nobody can tell them
Yeah.
they can't do that.
And now, like she was saying, look, since they've gotten married and had kids and getting older and stuff like that, that's the reason
Not
they
together.
can't sustain. No, not together. But they just can't sustain that crazy workload. But that's why they used to bring in. What a great gig! They used to bring in writers.
Bill Hader and stuff.
Yeah, just bring random writers would be just invited. Would you want to come in and kind of brainstorm with us for next week's episode? And you could throw anything out of them. It was.
But you know what I learned from that, because it was a common thing. A lot of big writers have gone in and tried to work on those shows. They fire people very quickly. So you go on a retreat for them. They go to Hawaii for 6 weeks.
Right.
And they will fire somebody after 4 or 5 days because they're not hitting home runs immediately. And it's the churn is fast because this is a freight train that's going at the clackers. It's not slowing down. So you have got to go in there and just smash it.
I'd be fired before the plane doors opened. They'd be just to say, look, give him a return ticket. When you're going back, to keep him on the door, because I would just be so slow. And even that pressure.
It'd be like me and my family, where I was at the writer's room when I felt myself getting faint. And I don't know what was wrong with me, but I said, I didn't say anything actually. I just got up to go to the toilet.
In your family, or are you talking about
my family, the TV show?
You did a writer's room for that?
Yeah, I did.
I never knew about this. Go on.
I did. I told you the story. The writer's room. There was an ensuite bathroom next to the writer's room, this conference room, and what I learned from the sitcom, it was a horrible sitcom. It was very, very popular. It ran for 11 years or something.
Yeah.
Zoe Wanamaker and Robert Lindsay and things.
Oh yes.
You had to be a performer in that room.
Okay.
You know the way when we do the RPG thing.
Oh yeah, the alien game.
So
yeah.
Tom and Lee.
Yeah.
I can often sometimes feel, especially when we first did that, clamming up, going oh God, I don't know if I can actually.
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
I don't know if I should actually be funny here.
Yeah.
But there were guys in there who were very droll, and they would fit right in, and they'd get laughs in the room. And then there were guys who would just take over as stand-up comedians,
right,
pitching jokes, and they would do it in a way where it's almost like they're performing.
Yeah.
And the American guy sitting up the front, the showrunner, he'd be leaning back, and going, "Yeah, that's great."
Oh, so there's an American showrunner.
American showrunner.
Okay.
So very rare for a UK sitcom to have a writer's room.
Yeah.
But they would say things and they would just ask the room. Robert Lindsay comes down the stairs dressed in a Santa suit, and Zoe says, and I'd be like, hello?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I don't know, that it's so alien to me to think on the spot like that.
Yeah.
But I remember in that writer's room, I got up day 4 or 5 or whatever. I was only there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Shadowing, so you get to see 2 episodes get made.
Yeah.
So writing an episode, breaking an episode, recording an episode, taping an episode, well, same thing. But it's rehearsal and taping, and you go through the whole process of it.
Yeah.
For the course of 2 episodes. I got up to go to the bathroom because I felt myself get really, really nauseous, it was just rising up in me. And I went into the bathroom, and remember I've told you I've got that vagal response.
Yeah.
So I went in, I opened the cubicle door, and as I opened the cubicle door, put my hand on the door to open it, I fainted.
Oh my God.
I just completely and as I've said to you before, when you faint, it's like you get knocked out. You don't just go you go bang, you hit the floor. So I went straight against the door with my hand.
Oh my God.
So I slammed my hand in the thing.
Jesus Christ.
And I obviously yelled in the pain, and then I staggered back and I fainted against the thing. Nobody came in to check on me.
Right.
I stood up, and it must have seemed like when I sat down, the guy next to me said, "Are you okay?" And I goes, "Yeah, I caught my hand in the door." But it must have seemed like I decided to get up in the middle of the thing, went into the bathroom and screamed. And then came back up and returned to the side of the table. But I actually went in there and I fucking full on fainted.
Oh, Jesus.
And only because I slammed on my hand,
right,
it just pulled me out of the faint.
Oh my God. That's brilliant.
I didn't get that job.
That's so funny. I'm working with someone who has worked on a US sitcom. Was it multicam? What do you call them? Multicam shows?
Yeah, multicam. 3
where
cameras.
It's recorded, and it's been fascinating to hear. It's almost like a.
They're like live stage shows.
Live stage show, yeah.
They don't do them anymore.
There was one that the person I'm working on has worked on one of the last remaining ones. And
did I tell you when I worked on the BBC animated show, the one that was half stop motion, half 2D animation?
No.
I won't get into specifics on it, but one of it'd be like a showrunner. She'd worked on a lot of sitcoms.
Yeah.
What was the one with Michael J. Fox where he was a mayor?
Oh, Spin City.
She worked in Spin City.
Yeah.
She had incredible stories, but that was the golden age for being a TV writer. You could make enough money working on those shows, doing a couple of seasons on those sitcoms, to basically buy a house. And
Jesus Christ,
like,
your life is
completely changed. Like,
Yeah.
you had a TV writer's gig,
Yeah.
you were set.
and you've got the residuals coming in if
And
it's
she
one of those.
was like still living off that. She had a portfolio and all these stocks and stuff.
My God.
And I was like, I hope I get paid like for lunch today.
Yeah.
It was like the difference between what had happened. Anyway, listen, let me just check the time on that. 50 minutes. Sorry. Oh, I'm forgetting. I'm not going to edit this, so that's all going to come out.
That was. I was just going to say that was incredibly gross.
Sorry. It's better an empty house than a bad tenant. I just spat. I'm
Right.
sorry.
No, that's very good. Very interesting. Very interesting. That's some good stories there. I enjoyed.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, I'm trying to think now. What other ones? I'm watching the Legend.
What's Legend of Korra?
Oh Christ, the Legend of Korra is brilliant.
What is it?
So it's there's that show, The Last Airbender, and Netflix have turned it into a live
I
action
haven't heard
series.
that name in years.
The Last Airbender. The Last Airbender. So it was originally called it was based on an animated TV show called Avatar.
Based on a movie, wasn't it?
No, the Avatar, The Last Airbender. So now it gets extra confusing. So Avatar, The Last Airbender came out before
it was the
Avatar.
M. Night Shyamalan film,
No, this is predates
which everybody
that.
loves. That's the film that.
Predates that.
So they've done a remake of
No.
Shyamalan's Last Airbender. I'm only joking. I know the.
Okay.
lore.
So Avatar: The Last Airbender was an animated TV show that came out in the mid 2000s or early
And
mid
is
2000s.
regarded as one of the
It's excellent.
greatest of all time
Yeah,
in
it's-
terms of like
it's-
long form animated TV shows.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It truly is wonderful. I only watched it in the last maybe 10 years ago and loved it.
Never seen a second of it.
Then M. Night Shyamalan did a movie adaptation of it,
Mm-hmm.
which was terrible. Completely lost all of
That doesn't seem like
everything
him at
about
all.
I know. But then, 10 years ago, a sequel came out to that show called The Legend of Korra. So it's set in the same...
it's a sequel to The Last
it's a
Airbender.
So it's set in the same universe, but it's set like 50 years after the events of Avatar, the original
So
show.
it's like TNG to the OG.
Yeah,
Trek
so you've
series.
none of the
Yeah.
original characters, but it's
Building on the lore.
You're building on it,
Yeah.
but there's an existence. It's not like there's an existence of it, and
It's like Game of Thrones being a sequel to House of Dragon.
no, the other way around. I had to think about that, but as I am watching it, and it's the original creators, I am immediately reminded of why the original animation show was so fantastic, and it's so fantastic is because it does a really incredible, delicate tightrope of marrying a fantastic kind of fantasy adventure story with goofy humour, like properly laugh out loud, goofy humour, and making the two sit side by side, where at one moment you feel like you're watching an epic adventure with characters you
I
absolutely
kind of love that though. That sounds great. That sounds exactly the way that I would like to do an epic adventure.
It's so funny. It's so funny without
There's
ever.
a kid getting snatched over there.
I think so.
Somebody else will handle it.
It's totally reverential to itself, but the characters are so well created and so well crafted. They inherently are kind of goofy or have goofiness, even though they're very serious characters. And the action is fucking cool. Like in this new show, Legend of Korra, there's action and the animation, I'm looking at some of the way the posing and the way the action is choreographed. I'm fucking blown
Like
away
you
by
couldn't
it.
write that stuff. It has to come from a visual imagination.
Yeah, it's so the storyboard artists they have are incredible, and the animators they have are incredible. And all I'm saying is, if you haven't seen it, go. And I've watched a little bit of the new Netflix show because there was a new.
Yeah, the live action version.
It did not have the goofiness. It didn't have the same charm.
Yeah.
And it's just sense of wonder that the original show has. So, but if you haven't seen it, go back and watch.
But do you have to know the lore to Airbender?
No,
Okay.
you don't really know. No, you don't
I'll
really.
check it out, definitely.
Yeah, but I'd be curious to know if it would land, because you essentially are starting in a whole new. Everything is kind of it's at zero. You know what I mean? There's so anyway,
It's a whole new story.
It's a whole new story. Yeah, exactly. So I'm recommending that. They allude to one character from the original. One character is original, the Airbender, Mr. Bender.
Yeah.
But he's never actually in it. You know, he's not in it, but he's just like alluded to. Yeah, I'm highly recommending that. I'm watching a lot of animation at the moment. Between Scavengers Reign.
Are you not sick of it?
I'm not, surprisingly not, because the fucking storytelling is really good.
You went from watching a lot of crime stuff to now watching a lot of animation.
I am actually. I'm going through a bit of an old phase. And X-Men 97, I watched another episode.
Did you watch that? Yeah, it's
so
really
I'm watching
good.
it slowly. I watched the episode last night.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, really slowly, because each episode is like they're meaty episodes. Like, you know,
they get to places in like episode 4 or 5 where it's like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm in episode 3.
Yeah, you've got a big one coming up where they go to, what's that the island where all the mutants have?
Muir?
Yeah, I'm on the spot now, but their haven, their enclave. It's an island where mutants can live in.
It's
Genosha.
Genosha. I was trying for a comedy substitute place, but it just,
Cork.
I was going to say Spike Island, but you know, it's not there. I've never been to Spike Island. Have you been to Spike Island?
I was for about 18 months.
Okay, for those who don't know,
release.
Spike Island was a prison for a spell on Cork.
I enjoyed it.
Were you one of those lads who were up on the roof throwing tiles down?
I was, yeah.
And they were trying to hose you off it.
I led the charge on that. They can't take us all on.
You started a barbecue up there.
I convinced half the fellas that I saw Our Lady in the wall, and they went mental. She said, fucking get him. So we kept jumping all the guardsmen. Good crack. Happy days.
We should do a day tour. We should head out to Spike Island. That'd be good.
I'd say it's closed now at the moment,
shit.
but listen.
Well, you broke out of it, so you could surely break back in.
I think that I'll get my rubber rings on because you've got to swim across to it. Listen, this is unusual for us because 1, we're outside recording together, and 2, we've released this episode to everybody to listen to, and we did that for one big reason.
Yes.
And this is going to be a bit of a hard pivot now, but let me just spit again.
Oh, do it, yeah. Make it as graceful as you possibly can there now, Kevin. Yeah.
No. So, I found out just a couple of days ago on our Discord that one of the very first patrons that we ever had, a guy who was a guest host tier supporter of ours.
Yeah, which is our top tier supporter.
Our top tier, which is, it's taking the piss really, that tier.
Yeah.
But it was when we were setting it up, and you can't change the tiers on Patreon after you've set them.
Yeah.
So they're established. But he was a patron on there for 28 months. He came to our live show.
Yeah.
We wrote about this in a Patreon post we sent out to people. But John O'Callaghan, who, for me, I was blown away when I met him in Dublin because he brought DVDs for us to sign. And he came from Mayo to see us, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like a big deal.
He travelled up and down, and I remember he was like, I was saying, you want to come with us for drinks? He was like, I don't know, I'm heading back now.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I was just delighted I got to come to the show.
It was amazing. It was really, I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
For people that came to those shows, Keith and Don as well, who came up from Limerick, I was like, oh my God, it's you don't feel like you deserve it. But John was like one of our biggest hype men.
Yeah.
And he'd be constantly on to us to do more live shows. Like, John, we'd love to, but nobody's inviting us. And also, we could barely get on mic together as it is.
Yeah.
So trying to schedule that.
And he was always on Twitter, always.
And Letterboxd.
Supporting us constantly on Twitter. And then on our Discord, when we finally opened up our Discord.
He was one of the first people in there.
Yeah.
He'd be sharing his Blu-rays. But the sad news is that John passed away on Sunday. And we knew he was sick, but we didn't know how sick he was. I knew that he'd had cancer. He'd mentioned it in the past. He'd gone through an awful lot about 5 years ago and recovered from it. And then he shared that he was dealing with health issues again, and we could only surmise at that stage what he was dealing with, but we didn't know how sick he was. he'd become less active on our Discord. But he would always pop up every so often. He'd do the games that we would do. We have this running thing on there where we will do Wordle and frames and connections and the mini crossword and stuff. And John would pop up every so often. My last conversation with him was to check in, was he okay? And he said he hopes he's coming to the end of it now, that it's been a long battle, but that he loved the Best Bits Discord because of the sense of community, and he loved being on there.
Yeah.
Well, in John's honour, we thought he was such a stalwart supporter of us that we may as well just dedicate this episode to John.
Of course, yeah.
Have everybody listen to it. The reason we do these Patreon podcasts is for people like John. We'll miss him terribly.
Yeah.
We've donated the June support that we get on the podcast to Cancer Care West in his name. It's the least we can do. But I was absolutely gutted to hear that we'd lost him. It did feel like a friend had died. And I guess, without wanting to sound maudlin, you get to know people in a way through social media these days which feels quite personal, and like it's almost the purest form of a friendship because you're meeting somebody on your own terms.
Yeah.
It's not an obligation. It's just you and their personality. And for 2 or so years to have John there hyping us up constantly, being such a positive force, and everybody who was in our Discord, I'd say, wouldn't have a bad word to say against John. He was so liked.
He never fell out with anyone.
And we tried our hardest.
You would see everyone goes out of their way to follow. But John, he had an enthusiasm for cinema that was infectious. And I relate to that. And I
What did you say as we were walking over here? It was about the way that John was unashamedly enthusiastic with things that he loved is how everyone should be.
Oh, yeah, everyone should live their life
Not
the way John lived his life.
Have any shame about you love something.
Yeah.
Celebrate it.
Celebrate it. And he absolutely celebrated what he loved and made friends through that passion.
It was easy to be friends with him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's very heartbreaking to know that he leaves behind a wife and a daughter, and that's and obviously family and a huge array of friends. And I love that even in his notice for his funeral, people have asked to come wearing Technicolor bright colours because John lived his life in Technicolor, and we were honoured to have known him in the way we knew him. We absolutely will miss him. And our I suppose our condolences to his loved ones, so
it definitely, and hand on heart, it won't feel the same without him.
Yeah, definitely.
So John, thank you, and thank all of you as well for listening to us. We do genuinely feel like we get to know our listeners in a way that feels like they're not our listeners, they're like pals of ours who happen to listen to the podcast. And to lose John feels like we've lost a friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Will, it was good to talk to you.
Yes.
It's a beautiful day here. We'll probably pour one out for John, and we'll talk to everybody else on the next episode.
Absolutely. That's us from Cork. Out.
There you go. Cork out.